Okay, that looks horrific. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel if you're new, or welcome back if you're not. So for today's video, I'm going to be trying out some makeup from Boohoo. I was on there looking at a few clothes bits, and then I decided to check out their makeup section to see if they had any or did any. And there was kind of this whole range that had this really cute packaging that looked really appealing. So I picked up a bunch of bits to try out, and I thought I would do that on camera. So if you'd like to see how that turns out, then just keep watching. So first up, I have this Diamond Dust Loose Metallic Pigment Trio. So there's 3 metallic pigments in there, and it has this nudes branded across it, which seems to be kind of the range, I think, in this holographic writing. So I got that for the eyes. There is this Matte Lip Tease Matte Liquid Lipstick and Lip Liner, so a little lip kit, again part of this kind of nudes collection, and this I believe is in the shade Nude. I think they had a few different shades of that. I have the Get Sculpted Powder Contour Palette, and this I'm quite intrigued by. There are 3 very different contouring kind of powders, and this could work really well for me and my preferences. I really like to go in with a warm bronzer first and a cool contour then, and then I like a light contour for the nose. I'm not sure if this will be kind of too light and too pinky, but we'll try this out. I have a setting spray. This is the Boohoo Get Set Vitamin Enriched Makeup Setting Spray, so we'll try that out. So then I basically bought a bunch of highlighters. So first up, I have one liquid highlighter. This is the Boohoo Orbit highlighter in the shade Orange. So this is what the product looks like. It comes in a little dropper bottle, and it's not orange, it's kind of a bronzy highlight. We'll see what it's like. I haven't swatched anything. I did take some pictures of them, so I opened it up and just saw the colour, but I don't know what any of the texture or pigment or anything on these are like. Then I bought this highlighter palette. This is the Watch Me Glow 4-shade highlighter palette, again with the nudes, and this is what it looks like. Super pretty looking. So 4 very different shades. One that looks like an icy white, one that looks like it has just a little bit more colour to it, kind of a beigey champagne colour, one that has a pinky tone, and one that's a deeper gold. So again, I don't know what the texture on that is like. And then I bought 3 single powder highlights just because they look so pretty. They're probably quite similar to what's in the palette, to be honest, and they could be the very same product, I don't know. But they just look so pretty in their little singular packaging, and they're pressed nicely as well. So first up, there's Starry Eyed, which is another icy white, and you can see it's pressed in this kind of quilted effect. Then we have Stardust, and that's what the packaging is like. And it's like a rose gold highlight, I think. And then we have Cosmic Dreamer, which is more of a gold, still with a slight kind of rosy gold undertone to it. There's still some pinkiness to that gold. So I'm looking forward to swatching those and trying one anyway, and maybe layering them and seeing what we can come up with. And it has started lashing outside, so I do apologize for the bit of background noise. And recently at the back, I think there's like a little bit of a problem with the gutter, because when it really comes down it starts dripping, which it was doing a little minute ago. I'm not sure if you can hear it. It starts dripping, but it's really loud, so you might be able to hear that too at some stage, which is great. So let's get into it. Obviously I already have my foundation and stuff on and my brows and nothing else, so I'm trying to decide whether to start on the eyes like I normally would, because normally I do my eyes before I do any base, but because I've started my base, I'm thinking, will I just finish that and then do the eyes? I'm also working with metallic pigments, so there could be fallout, but I already have my foundation on. So I think we'll finish the face. I think I'm a little bit more excited about the face stuff, and then eyes, and then lips. Yeah, let's go. So I'm going to start with this Get Sculpted palette, and as I was saying, I like to start with a bronzer. So I'm going to take a Real Techniques blush brush. I just use this for my translucent setting powder over my foundation, so that's why there's a little bit of product on it just from touching my foundation, but it's nothing that will change this product. So I'm going to go in with the warmer bronzer first. I have no idea how much to use. We'll start off with a tiny bit. Okay, go in with a little bit more. Looking good so far. I thought it was going to be quite orange. Looking at it in the pan, that could be because it's paired next to 2 very cool toned powders. If I saw it on its own, I mightn't have thought it was so orange. That's quite nice. Very smooth, no patchiness. It built very nicely. It wasn't like too pigment straight out the gate, which with kind of face powders and like contours and blushes and stuff, I kind of prefer that I can go in with a little bit and build it up, because there's nothing worse than going in with too much contour and having to try and blend it out, and then it gets patchy and it can be a little bit of a nightmare. So that definitely warmed up the face. Again, nice and smooth, no issues with applying that. I'm happy with that bronzer. So now I'm going to tap into the cooler toned contour just on the tip of the brush to sculpt this out a little bit more. And then again, I just started with a tiny bit. Oh, I quite like that on camera. That's really nice. There's like a subtle difference, but you can definitely see it. Take a little bit closer to the hairline. Lads, I'm actually really happy with that. This side is looking a tiny bit patchy just here. That's, I think, a combination of my skin and also when I went in with the bronzer, I think I had a little bit too much on the brush. And then I'm going to take that cooler one under my jawline as well, because that's an area where I really just want more of a shadow. I don't want any kind of bronziness necessarily. I'm just trying to cut out any double chin action. I'm actually really happy with that. I think it looks better on this cheek than this cheek. As I said, it's a combination of my application and my skin. But I think those tones are good. The application is good. The pigmentation is fine. Like, no complaints so far. I am quite curious about this lighter one. Let me just swatch it. It's very like close to this kind of nudie pinky shade. Maybe a bit more brown now that I see it on camera. In person, it's very close to the packaging. So it nearly looks like it could be like a really pale blush. There. That's a swatch there. I'll try it for the nose. I'm going to take this Nima brush. I think this is the Nicola. Yeah. Okay, so I was waiting to speak because there was just a wave of torrential rain there. I know the drain is dripping and the dog isn't happy with the sounds, so this is a little bit of a disaster, but we're going to power through. So I applied that to the nose as a contour. I like the depth of it because it's not dark, it's quite light, which, as I say, I prefer for a nose contour because I think nose contour can get a little bit out of hand very quickly, so you're better off going in with a light contour shade. So in that sense, it's nice, but I do find that applying it on, it is a little bit pinky. So I did pat over then with my foundation brush as I would normally do with a nose contour, just to soften it and blend it a little bit. And now that I've done that, it's not too bad, but it's like not my favorite. So for me, this would have been perfect for like my everyday use if this wasn't so pinky. Okay, so I don't have a blush from Boohoo, so I'm just going to apply that before we look at the highlights. So I'm just using a nice pinky tone from L'Oreal. This is in the shade Rosewood. Okay, so let's get our fingers into these highlight products. We'll start with the liquid. So this is what she looks like. Kind of hard to describe really. It's not bronzy because it's not warm enough, I think, to call it bronzy, even though it's called orange, the shade. It's not orange. The reflect in it is silvery, so it's more cool toned. I don't know how to describe it. It's quite neutral. Okay, so there's a lot of product. Seems to be thicker. There's a lot of product just on the stick itself, so I don't think you really need to like suck it up and then drip it out. You can just take off what's on here. Not too thick in texture wise. It blends out quite nice. It's liquidy, or more liquidy than I thought, and there's a nice wet sheen to it. And the tone of it is quite subtle, like that blends in really well just to my skin tone there, and there's just more of that wet look left. I'm gonna apply another little dot. Yeah, so you could definitely layer it up for more of a high shine effect. I might just take some of that that's on my finger onto my collarbones. Just use my hand as palette to scrape it off. And it is setting down on my hand, like I'm not able to really just wipe it off. I can feel it setting and drying, which is good. It's not going to slip and slide throughout the day. A little extra dot. Just blend the edges with my foundation brush. This isn't the right kind of top to really do this with, but just to try it out on the body. That's really nice because it's not like too in your face, it's just nice and subtle. I like that product. Okay, so next I want to swatch this Watch Me Glow palette. So this is what those shades look like. You can kind of see the colours more when I tilt it. So I'll just swirl in 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. They look nice. I'm just looking through the little camera monitor so I can't really see. Obviously they have a great shine to them. They're very reflective and the texture of them isn't, I wouldn't immediately say like they're very creamy and soft. They're not that kind of highlighter, but they're also not like too powdery or too dusty or anything. They're just kind of in the middle. So I'm just going to wipe off my fingers and then swatch those individual ones further down on my arm and see if we can get a comparison and see if they are the same. So I just have 3 of these individual ones. So I'll start with the white one, 1, 2, and then the goldy one and this pinky one. Again, they don't immediately feel creamy, they don't feel too hard. Oh, sorry. Oh. 1, 2, 3. So they do look very similar. The white on this, the singular white one looks a little bit more pigmented than this one. That could have been just a swatch. I think I'll do some side by sides. So I don't know if there was kind of an individual version of this nudie one from the palette. I didn't see it, but there might have been one there. So I'm going to wipe these off and just compare those side by side and see what we want to use. So this is the palette white and this is the single white. I do think the single one is just a little bit more pigmented. It kind of carried on a little bit further. This one started to fade out about halfway, but the color is the same. It could be just the way that they're pressed. Okay, I'll wipe off and do the 2 pinky ones. Again, I think the singular one is a touch more pigmented and a touch more creamy. And then for the goldy ones, and I think these 2 are a little bit more similar in formula than the other ones. And then we'll just swatch the 4th one in the palette again, just to round that out. That's the final one there. To be honest, I'm kind of drawn to this 4th one that I don't have a match to in the single. I think I'll do 2 different ones. I think I'll do this 4th one. Oops, this 4th one. And maybe the pink one. So I'll just take those from the palette. So I'm going to use a blank canvas F28 and I'll start with this one here. So it does take a little bit of building to get more of a high shine, but that mightn't be your thing either. But it is nice that you then get that option of doing just a little bit or building it up. So yeah, I do quite like that shade. It's just very neutral and it's nice and bright. I'm going to wipe my brush and go into the pinky one. but they are that kind of metallic finish. Not super glittery. So this is the kind of neutral one, and this is the pinky one, both from the palette. Very similar, to be honest. It's more when I look straight on in real life, I can see a bit of the pinky tone here, but when the light hits, they're both nice and metallic looking. I do like the finish on them, I will say that. I'm just going to grab the single pink one, which is called Stardust, and just layer a little bit more on top of this and see if that comes off a bit stronger. Yeah, I think there's just a little bit more pigment to that one. So pretty though. Wow, see how wet that looks. And now that we've seen this one on its own, I'm going to layer one of the white ones. I'll take Starry Eye, the single one. Again, just wipe off my brush. Yo, super bright. I really like this side now that it's layered up and that I put the Stardust, or yeah, Stardust, wasn't it? Yeah, over it. I can definitely see more of that rose gold tone in it. I don't know how much of that is coming off on camera. I really like both of those. I like how I was able to build them up to this really wet effect. I will see if we can incorporate some of the other shades into the rest of the look, into the eyes, maybe the lips, I'm not sure, because we do also have 3 metallic pigments to work with. So my battery is dying, so I'm going to change that and be right back. Okay, so I didn't come right back because the next portion where I was doing my eyes got completely lost. So I did refilm some application clips applying the pigments that you're seeing on the screen now. So I'll talk you through that. But before we get into that, I will just say that my first thoughts when I was actually filming was that these seem to be very similar to the Pennies or Primark pigments in colour and texture and all that. I think they're probably the same product. But they are both very cheap, so it was just something that I noted. So when I originally filmed this, I combined the light pink pigment and the dark kind of burgundy pigment on the lid. But I kind of wanted to see them on their own, so when I refilmed it, I decided to do them on 2 separate eyes. So that's what I did. I started by applying the pinky contour shade from that contour palette as a transition shade, which worked really well. And also I used the shadows from the Modern Renaissance palette from Anastasia to get me started. So first here I'm applying the NYX glitter glue as a base for the pigment. And then I'm applying that darker kind of burgundy pigment over top. Just pressing it over, and as you can see, it just sticks really well and it stays nice and sparkly. And with the glue, there wasn't a huge amount of fallout. There was a little bit, but not massively. So for the other eye, I'm using the lighter pink pigment, and I'm first again prepping with the NYX glitter glue. And this one I found to be a little bit trickier to work with. Rather than laying on top of the glitter glue, it kind of mixed with it and created this kind of flaky metallic paste. So it was a lot more textured and had more fallout. It just wasn't as easy to work with as the first one. And so these are the 2 eye looks with liner on. And with this lighter pink one, you can kind of see more of the texture in it and how it kind of mixed with the glitter glue and how the liner didn't go on quite as smooth over the top of it. But both are really cool colours. Okay, so I'm back with the eyes completed, and let's move on to the lips. So again, this is what we have, the lip liner and liquid lipstick. So this is what the liner looks like, and the colour again is very much that kind of neutral pink. It's looking a little bit light for me. I'm not loving this application either, because the ridge of it there is quite like hard. It's not, you know, a smooth shape like a normal pencil. I'll see if I can sharpen this. Oh no, okay, it's working. It's just not turning very smoothly in the pair. But I think that shape will just be more comfortable to use than something with like a sharp ridge on it. Yeah, that feels better. I'm not crazy about the formula. It's like a little bit patchy. That could be the shade as well, because it is a pale shade. Alright, let's try the matte liquid lipstick. I'm just going to swatch it first. It's a nice nude. It looks like I like it, but I would probably prefer it with a darker lip liner. That is... It looks almost darker on my hand. That is light. And the texture is a little bit puffy, kind of that, oh my god. This is not suiting me at all. I'll go over with the darker lip liner, but it's slightly kind of whipped feeling. Okay, that looks horrific. Also, I do want to note one thing as well, which I can feel now again. When I took this out of the packaging and I put it down, oh my god, look at my lips. When I took this out of the packaging and I put it down to take a picture of it initially before I started filming, as it was kind of rolling around, and I noticed that it was leaving like some residue, and I can feel it again. It's like leaking some sort of oiliness, even though it's, and I just thought, oh, it might be one that like needs to be mixed up. I didn't find that in swatching it or applying it. There was no kind of oiliness that I could tell, but I can feel some sort of oiliness on it. It is drying down matte. It's not uncomfortable. It's not like tacky. It is quite soft, but I can feel it drying, so it might get even drier. I need a lip liner stat. I'm going to try a darker kind of pink, well, not a dark pink, but a darker than what I had. This is Flormar 229. I was more hopeful for that. I still don't like this. If I was to use that again, it would be one where I just take a little bit on the center over something that I'd already put on, just to get a little bit of lightness in the center and more of an ombre look. Because I had it all over and then I went over with the lip liner, I think that made it a little bit more difficult. And also I'm just not crazy about this color combination. So I think I'm going to take off this lip and try it, just as I said, with something else and just adding a little bit in the center. Okay, so I'm back with obviously a very different lip color on. I just put on my Collection chocolate lip liner with the Rimmel Kate number 43 lipstick. So I'm going to try this very pale nude liquid lipstick just as a center kind of spotlight. I'm just thinking, I have kind of a creamy lipstick and this is matte, so I don't know how this will blend, but it's working well so far. See, that's better. I like the effect of that. That is what I would use this for, just to lighten up a nude lip in the center. So that is all the products tested out. Oh, I forgot the setting spray. I also do have Mad highlight on, but I do feel like I'm looking a little bit shinier because it's been a while that I'm filming. I'm just going to take a little bit more of my powder. Okay, and I'm going to try this setting spray on one side, and I'll just use this packaging. There's a nice spritzer on it, but it's not the finest of mist. I can still feel kind of the droplets. Sometimes you spray something that has a really fine mist and it barely feels like anything. Let's see if we can see much of a difference. I wish this top had a little bit more. It just slips off quite easily. There's a little bit of a clip. What? Small complaint. Straight off the bat, I don't see much of a difference. I'm seeing little specks where it still needs to settle. It is kind of hard to tell though because of the heavy highlight and because there was like fallout from the pigment and stuff, so there's a lot of shimmer going on. So just as a little roundup again, the contour palette I do quite like, except I do wish this lighter shade was less pink. But because I do still really like these shades, I would imagine that I'll still be reaching for this to use those two. And I like the fact that I can make this work as an eyeshadow, a nice transition shade. So it's not ideal in what it's kind of meant for. If this, again, was a little bit less pink, this would be an amazing contour palette for me anyway, and my preferences. But overall, I think this is a yes from me. The liquid highlighter I actually do quite like. I can still see it on my collarbones. I don't know if you can see it on camera. It was just a little bit that I put on. But I do like the tone of it because it's quite neutral. It blends out nicely, it layers nicely, so I think this is also a yes for me if you like liquid highlights. And here comes the rain again. And then for the powder highlights, I think, to be honest, they're all a yes from me, because I'm just obsessed with the highlights that I have going on the face. When I was swatching them, I did feel like the single ones were just a touch creamier and a touch more pigmented, but the colours are pretty much the same as what's in the palette. Obviously, again, except for the fourth one, which I'm not sure if that existed. I did go on to Boohoo to look at like prices and to see if that was there, and I missed it, and to remind myself of the prices. But because Boohoo basically always has a sale on, like at the moment it's 30% off, the prices are all slightly different, but like all of these products range between 2 and 10 euro. They're all basically kind of single digits. I think, I could be wrong, but in and around, very affordable. But because I think I do quite like this very neutral shade that I don't have in the single anyway, I'm kind of gravitating to this palette that has the other ones as well over these ones. However, if there was just kind of one shade that you really liked, I would say just pick these up. They're so cute, the packaging and the little quilted effect. Between the three of these, I think I liked the Stardust one the best, the pinky one. I think that's what I layered on top of the other pinky one here, because generally those kinds of pinky looking shades have more of like a silver undertone, and they're very like cool toned, very, very pink looking, if you know what I mean. Whereas these ones have that goldy undertone, so they are a bit more of a rose gold highlight, which I think is super pretty. So the highlights are all a yes for me. I think if I was to do it again, if I was just to pick up one or the other, I would probably pick up the palette. Even though I know I was saying I thought these were just like a little bit more creamy, a little bit more pigmented, it was so slight that it might just be the case of like an extra one layer of this, you know. The pigments, I'm not sure, because the darkest one I do really like. The pink one is such a cool color, but it's like, as I was saying, it looks a little bit patchy. It's not like my favorite formula. The gold, I have something similar, and it's nice. They're just not the easiest formulas to blend and work with. So I don't think they'd be something I recommend just as pigments in general. If someone was like, what is some good pigments that I could pick up, I don't think I would say the Boohoo ones are amazing, because of that formula. They're a little bit tricky to work with. They can look kind of chunky and textured on the eye. However, like now that I have liner and lashes and stuff, they are very statement. Maybe that statement is coming from the chunkiness of them. I do really like that darker one, just as like a really Christmassy shade. If I had that all over the eye, I think that would be really cool. So I think if someone asked me what are some kind of cool pigments, I'd say you might want to check out the Boohoo ones. They are kind of chunky, but they're cool colors. So I think it's just up to you, like you looking at my eyes, if that looks like it's something you'd be interested in and playing around with. So for the pigments, I'm kind of sitting on the fence with. Also, if you are interested in them, check out Penny's pigments or Primark pigments. And then the little lip kit, I think this one would be a pass for me, because I don't know if I'll reach for the lip liner. I wouldn't wear the lipstick for me as a colour all over. I would just be using the touch of it in the centre as I did to lighten it up, but I do have other products that I use for that as well, so I don't think I would pick this up if I was to do it again. And then the setting spray, I think that's one that I have to test and use with different foundations and like less highlight, so I can see more of a difference, and maybe do like a wear test and stuff. So that is it from me for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, please do give a thumbs up. That lets me know that you like this kind of video, and it also helps out my channel an awful lot. And of course, if you'd like to see more from me, you can subscribe to my channel for free if you want to. So thanks again, guys, and I will see you on the next one. Bye. It's okay, Minty. It's okay. Good boy. Minty, stop. Come here. Minty, it's the drain. Come here. Come here. This is a disaster. He's not happy. Not happy with this storm. And here comes another wave of rain.